Alright, we've got 81% stated charge, and what are we at? 35 kilowatts, you can see there. And this is what these 350 kilowatt units look like. And let's see what happens. Yikes. That's not going to work. Alright, so yesterday we plugged in our Model 3 and it tripped the breaker. 3 times I tried it and it would not charge. Tried supercharging, would not charge, so we're going to try it again after sitting for 24 hours. And that's the breaker for the whole house, the master. So it didn't even trip the 60 amp, it tripped the 100 amp. Not sure how that's possible. This is our Tesla wall charger, NEMA 1450, into this 60 amp. Huh, interesting. Now let's see what the car says, if anything. Notifications. Only this one. Charging equipment something. Communication lost. Well, probably because power was tripped. Huh. Yeah, I don't see any specific things here. Huh. Don't know what to say. Hey guys, so at this point I was on the phone with Tesla service in Surrey, BC, and they did a remote diagnostics. It came up with nothing at all. There were no error codes, nothing. I did look at some of the codes that were shown when I was charging at BC Hydro. I brought the car to River's Edge Services, a third-party shop. They did some diagnostics. When they went to charge, it tripped their breaker too, and you can see here this is the power conversion system. There's a hole there in the metal, right there, and basically one of the capacitors, it looks like it blew inside the PCS, the power conversion system. So it was great. You can see right there in the picture the part that kind of exploded. So anyway, it was really good. They replaced the PCS. I ended up going with River's Edge. They did a great job diagnosing. Took like, I don't know, 2 to 3 hours to diagnose the problem. Down to the PCS, which is great to have a local shop. And then Tesla service, I asked them for a quote. They sent me a quote. They said it was not under warranty because I was past the basic warranty into the extended. Here you can see pictures of the car charging after River's Edge replaced the PCS. It took about a week and a bit to get the part from Tesla. River's Edge did a thorough job testing, charging, all that kind of thing. I got some notifications on my phone saying, you know, the car was unlocked and whatnot, and so I took it to Supercharger after that to test DC charging after River's Edge tested
First,
AC.
we're going to go to Supercharger, test this out. We got the PCS fixed. There's the old part in the box there. We'll see what it looks like in the flesh a little bit later, but first let's head out to test the Supercharger and test DC fast charging. All right, first DC fast charge since getting the PCS fixed. River's Edge. Blue. Blue, blue, blue. Green. Ah, ah, ah. Love it. 34 kilowatts. And that's because we're at 72% state of charge, but DC fast charging is a go, which means we are a go. Awesome. All right, guys, so just one other thing to point out. Every time I take my car to River's Edge, they do a car wash, they clean it nice. My car was filthy when I brought it in. It's a lot cleaner now, so kind of nice to have that, but yeah, everything's fixed. Looks like we have a nice local option to get Tesla specific repairs done here. They did a professional job. They spent about the same amount of time as Tesla did. We just basically were waiting for parts from Tesla. That was the largest delay, so definitely fabulous, and we'll go over all the cost breakdown and everything, but awesome. All right, let's plug this in and make sure it doesn't blow the breaker. Let's get back to that convenient home charging situation, and I'm sure this will work because they already were AC charging. Green. And there you have it. And now we are charging nicely. Should get up to 9 kilowatts eventually, although at this state of charge, who knows. 9, there we go. 10, I think it goes to 12 actually. And let's go into service mode. Check out the rest of this. Make sure there's no codes in there. Service alerts. That was from this morning. It's 3 p.m. so blah blah blah. They had to reinstall the software after, these are all mismatches. They had to reinstall the software putting in the PCS, but there's no active alerts. Active alerts, none. And let's check out high voltage and low voltage. Charging. AC. That's all looking good. PCS charging, nice. High voltage battery. All good. Communications. Drive units. All right, what did we look at before? I think.
All right, everybody, let's take a look at the cost breakdown. So you can see here on the screen, I ended up canceling my service appointment with Tesla in Surrey, but I did ask them to send me a quote in terms of what they would charge to replace the power conversion system, the PCS. And so they didn't do any diagnostics or anything. They just gave me a quote. So probably would come in a bit more based on what River's Edge did. But anyway, let's take a look at that quote from Tesla. So you can see here, this is a service estimate. If they had to replace the PCS in my 2020 Model 3 long-range vehicle, so they would charge $225 to diagnose the problem, 1 hour, they would charge $567 labor to replace the PCS, and that's a total of close to $1,500, just $1,495, and then taxes in. Final total is about $2,561.44 Canadian dollars. That's with all taxes in. Now, just want to point a few things out. This is their initial estimate based on what I told them. There is more work to do than this when you replace the PCS, and I noticed that on Tesla's website they have like a new service area where they show all the steps to do things like replacing the PCS. One of them is replacing coolant and stuff like that. In my particular situation, we'll see, we also had to replace the high voltage harness, and trust me, when you see the pictures, you would have replaced it as well. So it's a bit more labor, it's more parts, etc., but we'll get into the cost breakdown of that in a minute. So bottom line is Tesla's saying they would charge $2,561. Let's look at River's Edge. So River's Edge, this is the estimate here. So compared to $225 on the Tesla side for doing the Diagnosis, $225, they charged $564.92 to do the Diagnosis. It was kind of in two parts. First, they diagnosed and found the PCS was not working, and then they had to open the PCS and see like what inside was failing. So it took them a bit more than an hour, probably 2 to 3 hours. And right, this is a shop that's not Tesla, but they have had weeks and weeks of training at BCIT for specifically EV repairs. So this was, and they also pay for monthly fees to the service. I forget what it's called, Tesla kit or something like that. It's some kind of Tesla service thing where they get extended diagnostic tools and whatnot. And they have their overhead, right? They're not Tesla. Anyways, I'm not justifying it. I'm just telling you the facts. Anyways, so up here, so we saw is about a little over double the price to do the diagnostics. Up here, we have the PCS itself. We have the high voltage harness wire, and then some coolant that had to be replaced. And that's all stuff that I know for a fact had to be done. Anyways, their total after taxes was $3,862. That's compared to $2,500. They're $3,862. The 60 is almost the same. So 25 compared to 38. $1,300 difference is when it's all said and done for this work. Now that's just sort of the price that Tesla estimated versus what actually had to be done. Let's take a look at the cost breakdown, which I put together in the spreadsheet. So we'll get into these stats in a second, but first things I want to look at is, I just want to bring this in. So if you need to get service done and you don't live near a service center like me, and this channel is all about the experience of having an EV in northern British Columbia, specifically a Tesla, you are going to have to get your vehicle to a service center 8 hours away, whether it's Vancouver or Edmonton. Those are the two options, the Vancouver area. So a flight going from Prince George to Vancouver is going to range anywhere from $168 to $343 Canadian. So I kind of averaged at, let's say, $200 for a one-way flight, Prince George to Vancouver. If you want to do Edmonton, it's more, anywhere from $220 to $400 to $600, whatever. So I think I just estimated $300 if you want to fly one way to Edmonton. To get the car towed, this is somewhat hard to say for sure, but here's someone who had a Model Y in Williams Lake, which is even closer to Vancouver, I would say three hours closer, 2.5, 3 hours closer to Vancouver, and they had to pay $2,500 getting it towed from Williams Lake to Kelowna. So Prince George to Kelowna versus Prince George to Vancouver, it's about the same distance. So I'm going to estimate about a $3,000 Canadian dollars to get it towed, 8 hours one way. And that's probably going to be, again, you might find that one guy that one day who does it for, I don't know, $2,000, $1,500, but on average, this is the number I've seen in our Facebook group for people getting their car towed to a service center from Prince George. About $2,500, 3,000, 3,500 I've seen as well. So we're just going to leave it at 3,000. Let's come back to our little spreadsheet here. So we can see here on the spreadsheet, let's cost breakdown. So I've got the items that need to be done here on the left, diagnosis, the repair labor, the repair parts, other, and under other I put other items that were on the River's Edge invoice that were not on the Tesla invoice that probably would have been on the Tesla invoice, because it's like the high voltage harness, the replacement of the coolant, etc. So here's the cost of Tesla's quote versus what River's Edge quoted me. And so let's just get the formatting fixed here so everything shows in dollars where it should. So here I have the Tesla price, I have the River's Edge price, and over here I have cost differential. So this is the cost differential between Tesla and River's Edge, dollar value and percent value. So this is telling us, okay, to get the diagnosis done, it cost me about $340 more going up to River's Edge. That's about 151% the price that I would have paid to get it done at Tesla. The labor amount is about 108% of what Tesla was going to charge. So Tesla was going to say $567 to replace the PCS, River's Edge $1,180 basically. The parts, anyways, this one's a little bit tougher because the difference between these is not apples to apples, because River's Edge did have the high voltage harness as well as the coolant. So here it says 40% more, but we'll take a look at that in a bit. And then it's other components like the high voltage harness, etc. So in the end, it cost about 50% more to go to River's Edge than it did if I were to go to Tesla. Now, I have another set of columns here, and that is to try to kind of break this down what I believe is a bit more accurately. And that is, I call this cost adjusted, the adjusted part differential. And this is me trying to make this more realistic in that, okay, diagnosis, that's the same. The repair labor, that's the same. Those two don't change. The repair parts, the value difference, I'm going to just estimate that River's Edge is going to charge a 25% higher price on the parts. They have to warranty it, etc., whatnot. And that's, generally speaking, automotive places charge some kind of a premium on the parts. Anyways, so I just said 25%. That brings it to that. This other, I just left it there. And then taxes and whatnot. So factoring in the parts difference, that Tesla would have had to replace the same parts, and thinking that a third-party shop's going to maybe charge you 25% more, had this value, and doing all of that, we come to River's Edge costing about $944 more than if I had gone to Tesla, which is about 36.85% more than going to Tesla. So in that 36%, that seems like a high number. It is, no question there. But this is an independent shop providing that service here locally. They had to spend a ton of money to get trained in EVs, and they also have more costs than Tesla does. They have to pay monthly fees to access Tesla's service kit and all that kind of thing. So anyway, and they have to pay their people. So here it is, 36%, which is probably a bit more accurate in terms of what I paid extra. So about $944. So now you got to ask yourself the question, if you live near a service center, no brainer, you could just bring your vehicle to Tesla. And that's just the way it would be. But here on this side, on the right-hand side, there's a number of things to factor in. And that is, we talked a bit about this, towing, from Prince George, anywhere in northern BC, it's going to probably cost you close to $3,000, depending on how close you are to a service center, maybe slash it in half if you live halfway, not 8 hours, 4 hours from a service center. It's going to cost that much money just to get it towed from your place of where it broke down to a Tesla service center. That's already going to be more than what you would have saved in this price difference here. So towing is going to make a big deal, but there's more than towing, right? If you get the vehicle towed now, when it's fixed, you have to get there to drive the car back. You're not going to pay that same price again. So a one-way flight from Prince George to Vancouver, $200. If it's Edmonton, the other service center, $300. If you're going to drive your car back, it's going to cost you, I just took an estimate from past experience, about $80 in electricity, supercharging, whatever, and food and whatnot, restaurants to drive your vehicle back. It's a full day drive home. So these are all different costs that you're going to incur. So even if you didn't get it towed, if somehow you drove it down yourself, or a friend was just passing through town and towed it there, you're going to pay, between the flight and the food and drive back, you're going to pay $300 to $400, depending on which service center, minimum. This is minimum cost to get your car back home from a Tesla service center. Now you're saving maybe, I said $300 to $400, so now it's like $400 to $500 you're going to save if you can get that vehicle towed there somehow, and still you have these costs. You're going to save $400 to $500. A couple other things to think about. The earliest time I could get a Tesla service appointment in Vancouver was 1 week out. The earliest time I could get a service appointment with Tesla in Edmonton was 3 weeks out. The service appointment at River's Edge, 1 day, right? Within 1 day of the car failing, they got it in the next day. They diagnosed it that day. We knew what was wrong that day. So within a day, I knew what's going on. These other routes, I don't even know what's going on. It's going to be at least 1 week to maybe a month before I know what's even wrong with my car. The other thing is, which is maybe a negative for River's Edge, it's hard to say. That Tesla part, the power conversion system, it took 1 week to ship to River's Edge. It came from the States. Now, all third-party vendors, they connect to a website called epc.tesla.com, electronic parts counter, and I believe it just comes from California. All parts for everybody comes from there. It's not like you can just order it from a local service center. Maybe people have secret deals, with some of these service centers where you can get some parts, but for the most situations for third-party vendors, like when I had my Tesla in for body repairs when someone hit our car, it took, and the guy there said, minimum 2 weeks to get parts from Tesla. That's minimum. Sometimes it'll take even longer than that. So will it be the same if you're at a Tesla service center? Do they stock some of this stuff there? I don't know the answer to that, but I'll just say that's a possible negative for River's Edge. Not their fault. It's just dealing with Tesla, and you're not a Tesla service center. These are all factors that you need to take in terms of how long it's going to take to get your vehicle fixed, how much money it's going to cost. You're out of a car for how long, right? In the end, to me, I found this an extremely rewarding experience. Obviously, it was terrible that I couldn't charge the car. I'm out of a vehicle yet again. If you guys have seen the channel, you've seen that we've had multiple issues with the Tesla where people crashed into us, and dealing with all of that was not fun. But this was sure nice to not have to get that car towed out of town, deal with Tesla service, which I stand to this day is always a negative experience for me. Dealing with Tesla service is always terrible. Things take a lot of time, things cost a lot of money, and you're out of a vehicle for a very long time. And that's just been the way it is. Tesla service doesn't seem to care that much about providing good service. as a general company-wide thing. I'm sure some service centers here and there, people have some good experiences. I've heard people say that, but generally speaking, people live far away from a service center. It's a huge hassle, right? You see the cost differences here. So you got to ask yourself, depending on what is wrong with your car, and you may not even know what's wrong, right? It's just failing. Maybe it's just the 12-volt battery or the 16-volt battery if you have a newer Tesla. Maybe, it's something very simple, but you won't even know. One thing for sure that I would say, you might pay a bit more money, right? This price here. If you can get your car diagnosed locally, to me, that's no-brainer. You want to get that done so that you can decide how to control these other costs, towing and all this kind of thing. Because when I talked to Tesla, they would not pay for the tow down to there. We don't know what's wrong with the car, right? They're like, no, sir, you have to arrange all of that. And thousands of dollars getting your car towed, then finding out, there's maybe $10,000 of repairs that you have to get done to this car or something like that. And it's 8 hours away from you. And if you had known, maybe you would have just made a different decision. I don't know. Get it diagnosed locally if you can. I'm glad we do have River's Edge services. They do provide a good service. My experience was very professional. The car went down, and with just shortly after a week, everything was fixed. It was diagnosed in a day, and when they got the part, it was fixed that same day they got the part. Very professional. Very happy with the service I had. Yep, it costs more, and to a degree I understand the reason for that, and you just have to decide for yourself. But at least there's a shop in northern BC that can diagnose and repair electric vehicle specific problems. They have the training, they know what they're doing, and if anything, consider getting a diagnosis. I think in the future I may take a look at going to all of our OEM dealerships locally around here and asking them, first of all, what EVs do you have on your lot? And then asking them who can fix these cars. If a car breaks down at Ford or if a car breaks down at Volkswagen. I just drove past their lot today and I noticed they have the new Volkswagen electric vans, which look pretty neat. Are those vans able to get fixed here in town? Do those vehicles have to get towed or shipped somewhere? And, am I out of a vehicle for weeks or months or whatever? These are all important things to note, but now we know in this situation that we have a local shop here that can diagnose and repair. You don't have to worry about flights and towing and all that. Worst case scenario, you're out of a vehicle for whatever period of time it takes to get those parts. And hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please click that like button and maybe leave a comment there if you have any thoughts on what we've talked about in this video. What are your experiences? And catch you on the next. All right, so you can see right here, boy does that smell. Right in here, that's where something exploded. And you can see all the powder kind of sprayed from that black explosion. Boy, does that ever stink. And sprayed over to here. You can see all that, whatever it was, the black stuff, and kind of stopped right here at these. And it's a bit more clean here, but you can still see powder, black powder, all the way around. And not so much over here from whatever it was that exploded and punched a hole in the case. Couple holes. That's where it exploded. Good thing that that was there, or else this would have been worse. And you can see the coolant tubes that cool underneath this, keep everything from overheating. But there it is.
And none of these fuses blew.
See it, like it, grab it. It's in the basket, pulling me like a magnet. Just gotta have it, yeah. See it, like it, grab it. It's in the basket, pulling me like a magnet. I just gotta have it. Just give me that feeling.